Hi guys, my name is Chloe, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the series that I need to finish in 2023. So last year, I think it was in February, I possibly filmed it. I did my first video talking about all the series that I need to finish, as this is something that I really want to get on top of, so I don't have tons of series on the go at once. So I decided to review my video and see what I had on there and see where I'm at the moment and what series I've completed, which ones are still ongoing, and I've even removed a few as well, ones that I'm going to have to reread and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought it'd be quite interesting to go through all the series that I currently need to finish, since that is an active thing that I'm trying to work on. I won't be reacting to my video live for this one because I really couldn't think of a way to do that, and also it would take too much effort really. I can't be bothered. So I have watched it in advance to prepare this list, and everything that was on there will be mentioned here in each of the sections, depending on where that series comes up basically. So yeah, I have tried to split this into categories again. I think pretty much the same as in the previous video, except in this one we've got the series that I've since removed from the last video. So these are series that I am no longer actively trying to finish. They're not DNFs for the most part. They're just ones that I know I'm going to have to start from book one when rereading. So I'm taking them off my to finish list, just so I don't have tons and tons of series on there. I'm trying to minimise it as much as possible. So yeah, I reckon that's a good place to start. So I'm going to start with all of the series on my list from the previous video that I have now removed from my to finish list. So the first one on this list is the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. So I had read the first 3 books in the series, I think, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it's just been so long since I read them that I just can't remember what's happened. And there are 4 books at the moment, and the 5th one I think comes out possibly at the end of this year. So I think my plan for this series is to wait till that one comes out and then either binge them or read one a month, just so I can cross it off the list completely. The next one is also Gilded by Marissa Meyer. The second book, Cursed, has since come out, and I haven't read that one yet because I've also forgotten what's happened in this book. So this is another case of a series that I have to reread, and this is a duology, so hopefully when I get around to it it's going to be nice and quick. And the next one I was so close to finishing. This is Kingdom of the Wicked. I'd read the first 2 books so far for this series, and then by the time I got Kingdom of the Feared I just forgotten a lot of the events, and it is one that I really enjoyed, so I do want to revisit these. I do enjoy rereading some of my favourite books, so I'm just going to love the experience of reading the first 2 to get to book 3, and hopefully I can do that soon, because so far the first 2 were amazing and Wrath is just incredible too. So yeah, hopefully get to that one soon. And then the next series on this list was actually a reread that I had started, and this was the Morganville Vampires by Rachel Caine. There are like 15 books in this series, and I think I'd gotten up to about book 7 in my reread, but I just put it off for so long that I've again forgotten where I've gotten up to. So if I do want to revisit this series again, I'm going to have to start from book 1, and I'm sure I will, because it is one of my favourite vampire series. It's just not something that I'm actively picking up right now. And then the next series for this section was an ebook series, and this was the Filthy Rich Americans by Nikki Sloan. I got to book 2 in this series, and it's a trilogy, so I've read 2 out of the 3. And again, just put it down, didn't read book 3, so now when I go back to it, I'm going to have to start again. And then the next 2 I think are more likely to be series DNFs. It's very unlikely that I will go back to these series, I don't think. And the first one, unfortunately, is the Cursebreaker series by Brigid Kemmerer. I'd read the first 2 books in this series. I really loved book 1. I loved the Beauty and the Beast retelling and all of those elements. It was great. And then book 2 just really dipped for me. It's been a while since I've read it, but I just remember being so disappointed that I didn't want to pick up book 3, and now it's been so long that I'd have to reread them again, and I don't think I want to do that. So yeah, unfortunately I will be DNFing this series. I do have one of her other books from Fairy Loot, possibly Defy the Night, I'd have to check, and I'm willing to give that series a go because I really enjoyed book 1, I just didn't enjoy the direction of the series. So yeah, it's definitely an author that I want to read from again, just unfortunately that series wasn't for me. And then the next one was the Celestial Kingdom duology by Su Lin Tan. So I read the Daughter of the Moon Goddess because I received it in a Fairy Loot box. It's such a gorgeous edition. Unfortunately, it didn't really click with me. I didn't quite enjoy it. It was just very mediocre, very average. And so unfortunately, I think I'm going to DNF this series and not read the second one. I might pick it up on Kindle if ever I saw it at 99p just in case, but I definitely have no interest at reading this book at the moment. There are just so many other series at the minute that I'm excited to read, and if I'm not excited to read a series, then why should I? So yeah, those were the 7 books that I've now removed from my list, either solid DNFs or just ones that I'm going to have to reread when I want to get back to them. Let's move on to some good news, and let's go with the series that I've completed since the last video last year. There are only 5 of these. I did only complete 5. Some of these were mentioned previously, and others were series that I've started and finished since I released the last video, so a bit of a mix, but yeah, there's only 5 to talk about, so let's get going. So the first series that I finished was the Six Tudor Queens series by Alison Weir. This is a historical fiction series following the 6 wives of King Henry VIII, and it was really interesting and really nice actually to dip into some historical fiction because I don't read it very often, and yeah, it was just really interesting, really fun, and finally glad to complete this one. And then the next series I completed was part reread, part reading new books, and it was one of my favourite series, and this is Skullduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy. So I was reading this as part of a read-along, so we were reading one a month, and so for most of the series they were rereads, but then it led up to the last couple of the books that I hadn't read before, and yeah, just so glad to jump back into this world. I love this series so much, and finally pleased to be up to date with this one, ready for the prequel that's coming out this month. So yeah, can't wait for that. The next one is a very recent series that I've been mentioning a lot on this channel recently, and that is the Good Girls Guide to Murder series by Holly Jackson. I think I started this series at the very end of December, beginning of January, I think, definitely towards the end of last year, beginning of this year, and I binged them. They were so good. This was the easiest trilogy I've ever had to read. There were just so many twists and turns. I just devoured it. So I didn't want to start a new series right at the start of the year, but it didn't matter because I finished it instantly. So yeah, that's another one done. And then the last 2 series that I completed were ebook series. The first one was the Impossible Julian Strand series by Catherine Ann Kingsley, and this was a paranormal romance duology. So I think in my last video I'd read the first one, just needed to finish it up, so I've now done that. That one's crossed off. And then the next one that I read was a series called Mindfuck, and this was by S.T. Abbey, and this was a collection of novellas, so they were really short installments. I think most of them were about 200 pages, and this was a romance following a serial killer and the detective that wants to track her down. And yeah, it was just a really fun time, really interesting, really dark and gritty, and just so easy to consume. So that was another easy one to complete. So next I'm gonna talk about the series that I need to finish that are currently up to date. So I don't have any books left to read at the moment, but I will have books to read when the next one comes out. So yeah, this is another good stack, things that I'm up to date with. That's also good. It means there's nothing currently to read at the moment, so yeah. The first series on this list is the Locked Tomb series by Tamsin Muir, and I am up to date with this one. I finished Nona last year, I think, maybe this year. Honestly, I don't remember, but I am up to date with the series, and yeah, I'm in loving this so far. This is an adult sci-fi fantasy following lesbian necromancers, and it's just a fun time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. Next is another one of my series that I look forward to every single year, and this is the Wayward Children series by Shauna Maguire. This series I'm absolutely adoring. It's so whimsical and lovely, and every book is tiny. I think, again, these are about 200 pages, so I love just enjoying each book as it comes out, and it's a nice and quick read and an easy one to stay on top of. Next, I've actually forgotten the name of the series. I think it might be Crescent City by Sarah J Maas. I'm gonna go with that. So yeah, I've read the first 2 in this series so far, and the 3rd book has just been announced, I think for early 2024 possibly. So yeah, currently up to date and can't wait for the next one because, again, really enjoying the series. Next was a series that I didn't realise had more books to come, but I think has since had books announced for it, and this is the Villains series by V. Schwab. So I've read the first 2 in this series and honestly didn't realise there were going to be more, but I don't remember where. V. Schwab announced that there was going to be more in this series, I just don't know when yet, so it is one that I'm going to have to keep an eye on in the future. Next was one of my favourite reads from 2022, and this is Belladonna by Adeline Grace, and this one is definitely getting a sequel called Foxglove, and I think that comes out sometime this year, so I can't wait to get to that. And I think possibly there's been mentions of a 3rd book, like there might have to be a 3rd instalment as well, which I am not mad about. I love this book so much and the characters, and I can't wait to jump in when the next one comes out. And then this is probably the series that I started most recently actually, and this is the Supernatural Investigations series by B.B. Alston. So I read Amari and the Night Brothers I think in February, and then I've just about finished Amari and the Great Game this week actually, this week time. But yeah, and I'm loving this series so far. It's a middle grade fantasy, it's so much fun, I love all the characters and the magic, it's awesome, and I can't wait for the next book that comes out at the end of this year. Next we are moving on to the series that are completed but I have yet to finish, and these are probably the ones that I should prioritise because I know exactly how many books there are and I can just cross them off the list, but we will see how that goes. So the first one on this list would be an easy one to finish, and this is Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim, and this one is a duology. I own the 2nd book, I just haven't got around to reading this yet. So yeah, this will probably be one of the easier ones to cross off because I've only got 1 book left. Next is another middle grade series, and this is The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chanani. So far I've read the first 3 books in this series, and have just been enjoying it so far. I've just got the final 3 books to finish, and I think they're kind of like separate story arcs, so the first 3 link together with their own sort of story, and then the last 3 linked together as well, but they're all part of one series, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I've just been having so much fun reading this series, and I love the movie when it comes out, and yeah, I just can't wait to clear out some time to read the final 3 because I love spending time with Agatha and now Sophie, because she doesn't irritate me anymore, thankfully. But yeah, I can't wait to carry on with this one. Another series that I want to finish is actually a reread for me, and this is the Vampirate series by Justin Somper. I think there are 6 books in this series, and so far I've reread the first 2, but yeah, I've just been having the best time jumping back in, and I really need to get around to finishing my reread. Next is another series that I've forgotten the name for actually, but book 1 is Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz. I think it might be a love story possibly. But yeah, Immortality has just come out and I really want to pick it up. It's probably going to be the next book that I buy, so hopefully I can read that one pretty soon to finish off this duology. Because yeah, duologies are probably something I should just focus on because they're so easy to finish out. But yeah, I can't wait to jump back into this world. It's kind of like a historical fiction, and we follow Hazel in Edinburgh, and she wants to be a surgeon, but everyone looks down on her for that because she's a woman, and it's great. There's grave digging, things I really enjoy. So yeah, I need to order the next one. The next series that I need to finish, and will be soon, is The Dark Artifices by Cassandra Clare. So far I've read the first 2 books in this trilogy, but I am hoping to pick up the final book, Queen of Air and Darkness, this month. I don't think I'll finish it out by the end of the month, but I am picking it up very soon, so this one will soon be off the list, ready to start some of the other Shadowhunter series. The next one on this list is a collection of novellas, and this is the Steminist novellas by Ali Hazelwood. So in this one we've got Under One Roof, Stuck With You and Below Zero. So far I've just read Under One Roof, and I've got 2 more of the short stories left to finish, so I'm hoping I can get to those soon. I want to read these before Love Phoretically comes out at the end of this year, so I'll be definitely getting to these this year. And then I've got 2 digital series that I still need to finish that are now complete. The first one being the Wicked Villains series by Katie Robert. This is a adult romance, dark contemporary book. that's a terrible way to describe that series. But yeah, it's a dark adult romance Disney retelling sort of series. That's still not great. But anyway, I've read the first 2 books in this series and there are 6 out. So yeah, I've got 4 more to get to. This is one that I really want to finish, but also the ebooks are always, I think, quite expensive. I think they're about £5. So I don't really pick them up too often. So yeah, I should maybe just bite the bullet and get one, because I do really enjoy them when I'm reading them. And yeah, I'd like to finish the series. And then the last one in this section is the Drowning Empire series by Andrea Stewart. I've read the first 2 books in this series and I've only got the 3rd book left, which I think came out either at the end of last year, early this year, I honestly don't remember. But yeah, this is another series where book 2 was just so disappointing that I don't want to read book 3, but I think I will, just because I enjoyed book 1 so much and it was so different to anything I'd read before, and I loved the magic system and how unique it was. So I'm hoping book 2 was just a little dip and it'll pick up again for book 3, because not much happened in book 2, and I think if I remember correctly it kind of set up in a way that I was excited again for book 3. But it's probably still not one I'll prioritise, but it's one that I definitely want to finish. And then the last section for this video are series that are currently incomplete, so there are still books that are going to be coming out, and I don't know for the most part how many books there are going to be in this series, so these are the series that I need to finish for that section. The first one being the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So far I've read the first 3 books in this series. I think there are 4 out currently, and there are going to be at least another 1, 2, maybe more. So yeah, I need to get around to finishing this series. I have read the first 3, but I did start rereading them because I'd forgotten them. So in my reread I've got up to book 1, so I've got the other 3 books to get to at some point. The next series is the only graphic novel on this list, and that is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. So far I have read definitely volume 1. I actually don't know if I've read volume 1 or volume 1 and 2. I own up to 2. I just don't remember if I've read it or not. I'll have to check and let you know. But yeah, anyway, I've only read 1 or 2, and I think there are 4 or 5 out, or there's going to be 5 out. So yeah, I'd love to just catch up with this one. It's just so cute, and I don't read graphic novels, so it's a really fun series to read, and I love the show. So yeah, it's just a fun time, and I can't wait to get the others so I can catch up. The next series is The Atlas by Olivia Blake, I think it's called. If it's not, I will correct myself. But yeah, I've read the first book in this series and I own the second one. I just need to read it, and a 3rd book has now been announced. And this one is one that I'm not jumping to get back into. The Atlas 6 did kind of disappoint me, and I think that was mostly because of the hype. But I am intrigued enough to go into book 2, especially because I really loved the characters so much, even if the plot just let me down. So that's another one I want to finish. I don't know if I will read book 2 this year or just wait for book 3 to come out and then read them back to back. That might be what I might do, but it's still on this list as something that I want to finish. And then the last incomplete series on this list at the moment is the Creature Feature series, and this is by Catherine Ann Kingsley. This is a collection of paranormal romances based on classical villains. So each book is its own standalone. They can be read separately, but eventually I want to get to everyone in the series. So far I've read the first book, which I think is called The Forgotten Phantom, and this is a Phantom of the Opera retelling, which is an adult romance. And then I think the next one is a Dracula retelling. And yeah, I'm excited to get to this series as the books come out. There's going to be ones based on The Mummy, Jekyll and Hyde. So yeah, it's going to be such a good time, and I really love the author. I've loved most of her works that I've read as they've come out. I've loved how dark and gritty they can be as well. So yeah, that's going to be a fun time, and I can't wait to finish those up as they come out. So that was it. Those were all the series that I currently need to finish. I don't know if that was more or less than last year. So overall I completed 5 series, and I'm up to date with 6, so that's 11 that I don't need to read books for. and then I have 18 series that I need to finish overall, with 6 of these being up to date, if that makes any sense. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully I can continue to make some more good progress and maybe finish more than 5 this year. I would be happy if I finished more than 5 and then I'm like improving. That would be great, but any series I can get crossed off this list is going to be a good start. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how this year goes, and I will update you guys this time next year, or maybe January. I think January makes more sense. I might start releasing these videos in January as well. But those were all the series on my TBR that I currently need to finish. Let me know down below if you've read any of these series and what did you think. But otherwise, I hope that you're enjoying your current reads, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!